Welcome. I am Johnny DeStanson. We have Reginald Perry, Miss Shaka Williams. We are Tasari. This is There's Something About Real Estate podcast where we talk all things real estate. What up, though?
What up, though? What's going on?
I'm just a little thrown off because this seat is like giving me anxiety.
You're not used to the spot?
No.
You in the guest spot?
Yeah. Like, I feel a little weird.
Oh, you should feel special.
I feel like that was like a low, underhanded.
You in the guest spot, you should feel special.
Kind of special.
We treat our guests special.
Anywho's, let's go with our recurring guest, Erica Simpson. She brought a guest with her, Eli Gonzalez. I don't know what mortgage company these people are with, but they are mortgage senior specialists out here.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what you got going on now.
Well, I am branch manager and loan officer with Next Door Lending currently, and thinking about making a change.
That's a hard truth.
That is a hard truth, yes.
Okay.
And I'm broker owner Eli Gonzalez at EG Home Loans right downtown Detroit. So I have my own broker shop now for 3 years. Known Erica. She's been doing her thing. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you for bringing me along.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. So I wanted to talk about something. I was on a listing appointment and I really didn't know what, when you get invited into someone's house, you try to get a little bit of information and have them tell you a little bit about like what's going on before you get there. But one thing I've learned is like you have to like take things that people say with like a grain of salt. And so when they're like, oh yeah, no, I've done, all the updates, over the years, roof, windows, kitchen, bathrooms, my house is all updated. And it's like, that's great. Can't wait to get over there and check out what you've done. But in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, maybe it is, I may walk into an amazing place. Or, I also know that people can feel like they did some stuff and then you go over there and it still needs a whole, like overhaul.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was kind of the situation, that I was in today. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't want to walk into someone's place, minimizing the efforts that they've put into it. So how do I have the conversation about, what I thought value was or what value could be if ... especially if they thought that they already did the things to have their house at top dollar, right?
Tell them the truth.
No, that was not the hard truth, right?
Because here's the thing, like some people, all right, let's say somebody say, okay, I've updated the kitchen. What is updating the kitchen, right? So, okay, I got granite countertops, I got all of this, but is the workmanship good? The quality of work, like the one house we looked at, it may be a situation where they put the money into it, but the quality of work is terrible. They might as well have not done it at all.
Wasted the money.
And that was like the situations like I'm sitting here and I see, she's like, no, those are $20,000 cabinets. I can't stand like Home Depot cabinets. I said, no, those are really nice cabinets. But you've lived on them. And also, they were raised, like she was like a little small lady and I was kind of teasing her. I'm like, how do you cook on these cabinets? She's like, oh, I've gotten used to it or whatever. But like she literally would almost needs a step. Like the cabinets were like up to here on her.
Right.
And I'm like, and so when I was telling her, I said, so the person that comes in here, they're going to like gut your kitchen.
Right.
And she was like, clutching her pearls a little bit. Why would they do that? Those are $20,000 cabinets. And I'm like, well, because it's just not, they're really high. Oh, and I said, you really, like if I brought a general contractor in here, oh, well, those were done by a general contractor. And I'm like, okay. Okay.
How old were the cabinets?
They were nice.
Old, like Were they modern? Were they trending?
They were good cabinets, but we wouldn't have been able to keep them. They would have had to go to the dumpster.
Why?
They were improperly installed and they were lived on. And you know,
I like that lived on.
yeah, and so
meaning they were beat up.
Yes,
They
and
was old, even if they wasn't.
yeah, and like that was like this and shit. But I really respected the conversation because like I told her, I said, you didn't have to have me here today. You didn't have to have me in your house. And like, yeah, I don't want to sit here and tear apart, the work that you've put into the house. But let me show you some photos. And so I went through, I think I had about 7 listings that we sold over there. And then some of our rehabs. And I'm like, this. So in order to get, I'm coming over with a net sheet based on 290.
Right.
In order to get this 290, it really has to look like it came out of HGTV.
Right.
And as you can see, these houses kind of look like they're on HGTV. I showed her 18600 too, and she was like, "Oh, she did blue cabinets." I was like, "Yeah," and
I learned a new word in doing that rehab trending.
So trending, but and she's like, "Well, how much do you think I can get?" And so I put on my calculator, right? And I put the value. So I said, I'll be very honest. This is the value that I would use if I were buying your house as an investor. And when we got through with the numbers, we were at $100,000.
Oh my God.
And she was like, I would not sell my jaws for $7,000. I thought she was, and she was like, no, if I didn't like you, I'll put you out. And she was very direct too. She's like, no, but I like you. And I'm like, okay. So, but the crazy thing in this whole scenario is she gave a great opportunity for marketing to someone for her house. She's like, I'm not going to sell my house to an investor and just give it away. But if somebody comes in here and they want this house, I will sell it to them at a reduced price. And they, they can come in here and her reduced price was reasonable enough to be able to get someone in that house on like a renovation loan.
Or on an occupant can come in and renovate it.
Yes.
Right.
Guess what? So I just did an event with Dar and the presentation for the 203K, right? Mm-hmm. And that would be a perfect opportunity for that. So the home buyer, as you guys know how the 203K works, right? So buy the house, we get Shaka to do the workup, and they can customize.
Just the workup?
The workup and the work
and
the work, obviously, and the work. Right, so we got our licensed GC out the way, and they get to do something with those lived-on cabinets. They get to customize it, and we do the 203K finance, and it's at a reasonable price. Is that over in Bagley? Is that what you're talking about? Oh yeah, cool.
And it's like 2,300 square feet, like a real 2,300 though. She has a nice living room, good dining room, family area. They done already opened up the kitchen. They got 4 real bedrooms. A 5th on the 3rd floor with the bathroom. Like, this house is great for...
So a buyer might can get it for about $220, $240 and go put their own stuff into it.
Yep.
That's what you're saying.
How much she own it?
Nothing.
What? Well, she might need to hire... She might need to invest in her house so that she can sell it.
So here's the thing. Most sellers don't think about... if you're buying a house and you're going to live in it, say, another 10 years or whatever... you still need to think about what the end result is going to be, like how soon you're going to sell it. But some people, what really frustrates me is when I go meet with somebody, they say, okay, we're going to fix it up to sell it, but they don't discuss what they're fixing up with me. So they fix it up based on what they think looks nice and the quality of work they think, and they just basically wasted a lot of money because it doesn't have a market value. So you're fixing a house up not based on your taste. You're fixing it up based on what's competitive in the market. So it sounds like she was like, oh, these cabinets look nice a couple years ago, and not realizing she was going to sell it, and it's just really garbage.
Yeah, pretty much, because she doesn't even, she's like, I don't have to sell. I can stay here. This house is supposed to be passed down and stay in the family. And I told her, I'm like, I completely agree. So we're still in a conversation. I think she's going to end up listening though. And the way we're going to do it is really asking for a certain type of a buyer to come in, basically. Right. So you want that square footage, you want the area, you want the equity, and the ability to, make your own renovations.
Right.
So I think it'll work. We'll see.
Hold on. Isn't there a program though where the homeowner can borrow money to rehab their house?
Yeah,
That's
the
203K.
I mean, well, it was, but
No, you're talking about the current
conventional?
owner. Yeah, there were a couple
Oh.
programs like
Yeah, a
that.
couple programs.
That's not a 203K though.
It can be.
So
Yeah,
she
they
refinance?
they can
It's a
do a
home buyer.
203K like refi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that seemed like
Yeah.
she might. I mean,
Mhm.
potential option is
She
to
can
go
get a
in there and
shocker
rehab.
loan and fix it. You can
Yeah. I mean, however she went and got her
Right.
loan to rehab her house and then sell it for what she wants to sell it for. So
Right.
she, get a return on her investment.
So the scenario here, what we discussing is how honest do you be and the hard truth, right?
Right.
So is it any other scenarios you dealt with the buyer where you just had to be upfront and honest with them, even if it hurt their feelings, maybe?
I think those are the clients that need concessions plus down payment assistance. They got $2,000 to work with, and they're buying a $200,000 house.
Mediocre credit.
About those, huh?
And the credit is barely, it's barely approving it.
Right.
Like
Correct.
you had to do some
Right.
adjusting and some tweaking to get the system to like it.
And they want a fully remodel house.
Yeah.
Right. So I know one person in here that's good at having those hard conversations, and it usually goes something like, I told her, I have to stop doing this. So it's all about finances, right? You're trying to teach somebody, you did all the work up front, you helped them build their credit up, because when they came to you, they was a 540.
Yes.
You got them up to a 640.
Yes.
They did all the work. You did all the work. And then they
And
did
church.
something like went out and brought a car.
Yes, they did.
Right. It's a lot of them, right?
Yes, sir.
So how do you have those hard conversations when they call you and be like, oh, I'm about to do this or I'm thinking about doing this? Is it just direct and honest? Because I heard you tell somebody one time, do you want that or do you want a house?
Yeah, absolutely. So as an experienced loan officer, in my signature box, I have the 10 Commandments that has been
I love that.
recirculated.
Right.
Right. So if you buy a car, you're going to live in it.
Right.
Yeah. Thou
Right.
shalt not buy a car or thou will be living in the car. So that's on my signature. Right.
Right.
And then during the consultation, it's also there. And then when I send my checklist out requesting documents, it's there again.
Right.
Right. And then now they have the question on the app. Do you have any undisclosed debt? Do you plan on opening debt? So we try to stop it and prevent it as much as we can. But some people just get so excited when that 640 shows up and Credit Karma lies and said it's really a 680. And then they're like, oh, I can go buy a car.
Right.
And so,
And furniture. What about when they go buy the furniture? They get the house under contract.
That's also it's also my 10 Commandments. But we try very hard, and this is where this setting the right expectation comes from, or doing the mortgage consultation comes from. Do not open debt, do not make deposits, do not make matter of fact, don't you do anything.
Right. So my grandma gave me $1,500 and I put it in the bank because I'm saving for a house.
And that's a problem.
Right.
And that's a problem. So, we're like, and it's interesting. Not only is that in my 10 Commandments, it's another in my signature. Do not make deposits without consulting with your loan officer first, because certain types of loans have rules. So
right. But my grandma told me.
But your grandma bought a house when all these regulations and the 911 and these things weren't in place. Right. So they put additional guidelines in place after the crash, right? And then after 911. So certain things were put in place. But I'll be honest with you, large deposits were there in the 90s.
Right.
Right. So that's not a new thing. It's just that our these undeserved communities are not educated financially in what to do and what not to do, right? So, other, communities, they've been saving the money or they have a savings pattern. And so we decide, because buying a house is new, we're having a hard truth, right, conversation.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So we wake up and say, you know what, that's the new thing.
Mhm.
Buying a
Right.
house is the new thing.
Mhm.
Like
Fad.
it's a
That's the
fad
new
now.
swag,
And I'm
yeah.
happy about it.
Right.
But there are steps to purchasing a house.
Right.
Right.
And the education piece, to me, this is education, right?
Right.
This is where they're gonna learn that information, because most home buyers, I mean, including myself, 10 years ago when I bought my first home, I had no clue. You don't know what you don't know.
Mhm.
So you walking in blind, and if you don't have professionals that truly care, I still haven't talked to my loan officer or my real estate agent since I closed. Once I
Right.
closed, it was gone. Like,
Yeah.
probably never gonna see or hear from them again. But the education piece is so important. And I get it. Some clients just have ADD, like they just can't sit still, you know what I mean, or whatnot.
Right.
So I get creative with them. You know what I tell them? Hey, you know what? Does your cousin, does your sister have a bank account? Put it in their account or hold it cash for the time being until we get done with this process. Just
Right.
hold
Well, my
30
cash
days.
might catch on fire.
What? Listen, we're gonna do something. Put it in a safe deposit box. Like, I get real creative with, but I try to set that expectations up front. This is the account we're gonna use in this process. Let's stick to one account.
Right.
Let's not move money here. I had a lady, I mean, literally, and you're gonna laugh at this, but I'm sure you'd have experienced this several times. Do you know I had and it's always be most of the time the clients that need the most help, the down payment assistance.
Always.
It's always it's never the $1 million loan. It's never
Man, the $1
you
million
know,
loan,
you
they
know
be
what I
so
mean?
easy.
So
Right.
you know what I mean?
Sometimes, unless they business owners, sometimes it
I
get.
think they
but
know everything.
Yeah, they think they know everything, right? So I had a lady literally 2 days before the closing move the cash to close money to her savings account. And you know what she told me? I wanted to collect the interest on the savings account. So it's things like that,
For
where
2
it's like
days.
2
You
days
ain't getting no
prior to
money for
closing.
2 years.
And
That's
when-
something she heard on the internet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And it's so many other people in these buyers' ears. We know that. I mean, just outside of profession. I'm like, no, listen to the experts. We're here in the
It's
field every
crazy.
day.
I literally had a conversation with one of my. So I'm getting these young girls that have a little bit of cash and want the mentorships on the investing. And I said, everybody has their way of doing things. And if we're going to do some business, just let's quiet the noise a little bit, work with me
Right.
within my program. And then, if you don't like it, you can, and she was like, yeah, it's been a lot of that actually so far. And I'm like, yeah, I don't, you can't have the interference.
Yeah, everybody's an expert except the people that write loans
Right.
and are real estate agents. It's super frustrating.
Oh,
But
I bought a
I-
house. My mama bought a house. Oh, we didn't do that when we bought a house.
Right.
In
But I
18.
always have to find myself just trying to say something and be like, okay, because I know when it's come out my mouth, it's gonna be offensive. So
Right.
like even when I was talking to the girl, I'm like, because I kind of was telling her like, don't work with nobody else, don't talk to nobody else, and
Right.
that probably sounds like bad advice, but I'm saying it for a reason, because if you want to work within a program and like how I move, and like if you come to me and you say I want to be you,
Right.
I can only tell you how to be me.
Right.
Somebody else can't tell you that.
Yeah.
So how do you approach a client? So let's say starting with a buyer, right? Buyer comes to you and you tell them what to do. They're doing part of it, but then they keep still doing something opposite of what
The
you're
hard
saying.
truth. So
The-
I
the
deal
hard-
with those kind of
right.
clients all the time.
Right. And is there a point where you say, okay, this is not working, I'm gonna have to let you go work with somebody else?
Well, I've wanted to do that. I haven't gotten the courage up. But what I do in those situations, Janita, would you like to have a conversation with your client? Because if they're going to continue to,
We gotta bring you in.
okay, I need some support here, right?
Mhm.
And if I have to send, the little part in the purchase agreement that says buyer must comply with lender requirements timely, right? And they must file, right? If I have to screenshot that, and I have sometimes, or take the exact verbiage from it, section, part A, whatever it is, and say, listen, you are self-sabotaging your deal,
Right.
right? And I've gotten better at that. You're sabotaging the deal. My job is to get you to the closing table, right? I don't want to throw my reputation and years around, so I keep that out. I used to do that back in the day. Now it's, hey, your job is to comply with lender requirements.
Yeah.
It's not about liking me. It's about getting you to the closing table. If you want to get to closing, you have to stop.
Right.
You have to stop doing these things.
Yeah.
Right? These are guidelines.
Then I have to call them behind that conversation.
Yeah, and if you want to see the guidelines, here's the FHA website. You know, that if you want to go search what large deposits are, or you want to continue working less than 40 hours a week and leaving every day to go look at houses and changing your income, right? Then so you're not going to close. So this isn't personal, it's business. You know, I this is the job. And Reggie, please talk to your client.
Yeah. So do it feel like sometimes you want it more than they want it?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. It gets to that point, you know, and that's why I like to bring you guys in. I believe in group texts, group conversations, group sit-downs, whatever we got to do.
Don't put me on.
But look, I'm just saying, sometimes they need to hear from someone else.
On the market,
you know,
I've adopted that practice because of that.
Because of that. And my favorite thing is like, okay, do you really want this house? I really like. Do I want it more than you?
Look, we have
this can't be a
my client that he's not. I don't even know because he wouldn't give me an update. But she is buying. She doing a 203K loan, and when she changed her, she changed her contract. She was going to use Shaka, but then her parents came in and was like, "Oh, you know, this guy is highly recommended." And so she's like, you know, mom and dad said this, so, you know, this is who we're going to go with. But early on, this contractor was showing signs that he was not about to get this job done.
He was cheaper. So that, I think that was about money. You know what I mean? So they want more. Everybody on those 203K loans, they want, like, when, you know, he was promising her the world. He was giving her everything for nothing.
So he was not. So I'm having conversations with her, and I'm like, "Do you realize we've been in this deal? It's been a week. It's been 2 weeks. Now we're through certain parts of it. Your deposit is turned in. I can only request so many more extensions. Like, what do you want to do?" And she's like, "Yeah, you know." And I'm like, "You gonna have to call them. I'm not calling them for you." So
it sounds like in some ways we become coaches, personal trainers, therapists, and parents sometimes too.
Yeah. That's another thing that I mentioned. Losing the earnest money deposit is also
a big thing.
I sometimes I have to say, well, hey, your closing date is this, and we're not going to close if you continue doing this. I can't issue you a denial to get your earnest money deposit back.
Right.
It's just going to be you not complying. So that's you're going to lose your deposit. So that is another tactic that we can use other than the group chats.
Yeah.
It was another conversation that so I had a client. She bought a house with us. She's ready to sell the house, and her credit took a hit. When we looked at the credit, it's at like a 580.
Right.
And I'm like, what in the world? So we got our coach through that. And I said, you know, she asked me a couple times, like, well, you know what I'm going to do about finding another place? I said, just give it like 2 weeks. I'm going to get back with you. And so finally get back with her. I hit her. I'm like, good news. Your credit's back up. It's like 697 right now. We can move forward. Now it's like, well, you know, I'm just, you know, so I'm supposed to call her in like 3 weeks. I'm like, I'm going to give you a little bit more time. Right. But then I had to remind her, look, you've called me several times about your situation. And I understand that things happen and go on. But this last time you called me, you said that you wish that you had made the same move 6 months ago when you called.
Right.
So here we are. You can move forward. Your credit score is in the range that you need to be in to not have any problems. But now we're waiting again.
So are we finding out, like, most people, they, like you said, they wake up and they want a house because it's trending, right?
Well, she already got a house.
They don't. When they realize how much work is required, they start midway. They're like, "Oh man, I really got to work for it."
Yeah, it's real work.
You got to spend money.
I ain't have my stuff together, and now you're trying to drag them across the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you feel like sometimes it's like I don't want no PETA issues, but do you feel like it's like dragging a dead horse?
I
had a deal. Yes, I had a deal that just closed. She literally sent the nastiest email because I was using a specific lender. that was being sued. And I made a statement to her, and she said that was a red flag. So here's a statement I said to her. First of all, the money was cash.
Right.
And I told her we can't use cash. And that I was looking forward to the time between, because it's obviously always an emergency, but the time between now and you finding a house where we can properly get the money sourced properly in the bank.
Right.
So when she found a house in a week, I'm like, God, I didn't expect you to find a house that quick.
Right.
And she said that was a red flag. So she completely withdrew, sent an email saying she withdraw the file.
Right.
Because the lender was being sued for something else. By the way, that lender did close the deal. Chase did deny her.
Right.
And she was, I'm known as if no one can close the deal, sent to Erica. So, I get her approved, and I just go through this tug of war with her the entire deal.
Right.
Of even the agent said, Erica sent her denial. I says, I can't. There's no reason to deny the file. I can withdraw it. She's going to lose. Or you guys got to go to arbitration or something about the EMD. Okay, but I can't issue it. And so every time, every interaction with her was dragging her. So when the file finally got approved, because the agent fired her, and and I just says, listen, I said,
fired by everybody.
We wanted more. I said, listen, ma'am, I don't know what you need to do. You need to Google me. Do you need to go Zillow reviews? I don't know what you need to do, but I would really like to help you. I can tell you have anxiety because I have it too. So I get it. Right. But I'm going to need you to trust me because you were referred to me for a reason. When I got her approved, thank God. What can I do? I says, when the next time somebody, like us looks, that's working with you, could you please not give them such a hard time? Right. She closed with bringing $449 and $445.90 to the table and crying. But it was literally dragging. She got down payment assistance with National Faith. And the $445 was paying off to her credit cards because she barely qualified.
She fired her agent?
Wait a minute.
The
the 445 that she had to bring was going back onto credit card that was
no money.
It was paying the 2 credit cards off that was stopping it from getting.
It wasn't closing them. It was just paying
them right.
Yes.
And so, and mind you, she was also getting partial of her EMD back because the lender, which is strange. No, the lender said it was part cash. So they only let us source the amount that she pulled from the bank, which is crazy. So she ended up getting a check back at closing for $540, and she brought $445. And these are the type of deals, they make you happy, but it's depressing. At the same time because it's like, do you see the hell that you took me through?
I got a bald spot right now because of your ass.
It seemed like some clients don't appreciate
they definitely
the amount of work that go into it. But do you think it's because they don't know how much work is going on the back end?
The fear that they can't, it's not gonna happen. Okay. Is this really gonna happen? I can't. So they, and I have to say, sweetheart, your energy, and I learned that files have personalities. I call it that, right? So it's like, if you continue in this way, everything and anything is gonna go wrong. Yep. So you gotta stop. Do you know the day of closing, the lender would not send the docs because the verbal was not done. Now I'm trying to figure out, how do we get something that small
can really delay a deal.
They would not send docs. And I had to jump in as, the master processor, and I called her employer. I said, listen, we're closing in a few hours. Right. This woman is about to be in tears. If you guys do not say this woman works here, she's not going to get the keys. 3 hours back and forth with them, to the point where I had to say, do you guys want this woman not to buy a house because of you? Right. Let me speak to management. And then finally, she closed at like 5, 6 o'clock at night. And because finally they got on the phone with them, and they finally said, okay.
This is a local lender?
No, she's saying that her employer
it was. It was UWM. They were local.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just asking about the time.
It was they were still working. It was a local lender, and the place was local as well, but they wouldn't accept an email from the employer.
Mm-hmm. That's how petty it could get.
With me copied on it.
Right. Yeah.
Now at my old company, if they send you an email saying this is the start date and position, and she's still working here, that's acceptable. I said, please call this woman right now and say, did you send this email? And do the verbal via per the email.
Right.
And finally, they did it and cleared it and released the docs. But this woman was crying. I said, "It's your energy.
Right.
It's your
Yeah,
energy. It's nothing else but your energy because I've got the DPA 14,000. I
Right.
did her docs with National Faith because that's a whole nother
Yeah,
stressful
Man.
thing. It's a lot of
thing.
paperwork.
Yeah.
So I do the app and I collect the paperwork and submit it. I got her that. I got her approved. She got fired during the process. You
Yeah.
know.
Wow.
Was it a small business?
No, this
I mean,
was home.
this was a real. No, I'm talking about her job.
She worked. She had a regular job, and then her second job was home health care
Oh, is that who they need to do the verbal?
for the home health care. The
Oh,
first
that's
job said,
why.
yeah, the
So
home
they
health
don't
care.
like them because they are, you don't really have a
And manager,
presence.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
It was terrible. But
And-
her personality, to me, is
Yeah.
what caused it. And I just told her, I said, well, I'm just going to tell you this because it started off negative. I'm going to help you through this process, but I need you to be calm because we got a lot of hoops to jump through.
Right.
So just work with me, bear with me. I know what I'm doing, and just hold on. This woman was just.
Yeah, we get those every now and then. And by the way, let me add on to that.
Yes.
Let me add it because I
Don't
feel
hit the
your
table when you
frustration.
add on, Eli.
Look. That's why this relationship is so important as far as realtor and working with seasoned LOs like me and Erica because we know what to do. Was she explaining to you? This is what happened behind the scenes. So, like she was explaining, we still deal with the clients. That's one area, right? But what you guys, you guys been in the business long enough, so you understand like what we go through behind the scenes. But let's be honest, nobody wants to hear what we go through. Nobody really cares what we go through behind the scenes as far as underwriting. We get the email from the employer the day of, like, here's an official email from the employer, says the name, this and underwriter can still say, no, this is not good enough, right? At the 9th hour,
She
right?
said it wasn't good enough.
Exactly. So these are the things behind the scenes that we go through from a lender's perspective. So it's really, we're very selective on what lenders we work with as far as underwriters and stuff as well, because they can make or break the experience too.
But should you be more selective on the clients you choose? Like
yes.
At some point in time,
start interviewing these clients.
I got to get better at that.
Like, here's the thing. Like you said, her energy and the way like she drug her feet. And that means everything after that is going to be last minute. So instead of being proactive, let me get on top of this. That means whatever requirements you needed to meet probably could have been done a week earlier.
Right.
But this woman had fired you first, right? This was
her agent. I never got to this. So she fired the agent?
She fired me.
She fired you, and the agent fired her.
And then because of the attitude, because there was a mother involved too, because of the attitude, the agent said, Erica, send her denial. I'm not working with her.
Oh.
And I just said,
you can't deny her. She wasn't denied.
I could not.
Exactly.
And it was just, a situation where the agent was very, very upset with her. And they had some nasty words, and it was a hang up. And then the woman called back and apologized. And then it's like, okay, well, I need you to work with Erica because I'm not talking to you anymore.
Right.
And
go ahead. Yeah. No, you
But
finish.
here's where it get a little tricky to answer because I'm going through this right now as we speak. My client I'm working with now, great in the beginning, cooperating, everything, right?
Yep.
I got so much skin in the game. Now she not even responding to my text and everything. And guess what? We supposed to close next week. So all I need is a stupid dated. All I need is a stupid transaction thing showing that she has the money and we cleared the close.
Go to the bank, get the transaction printout out, have them sign and stamp it.
Done.
And take a picture.
Done.
Right.
But she gotta have the money in there.
As we
look, Erica, I'll take that person to the bank.
She got it now. She told me I'm getting paid today.
She getting cold feet.
Look, she told me I'm getting paid today, right? Been blowing her up all day. She ain't answering everything. So
she spent the money. Her boyfriend
send me your number.
Like, so that happens.
Do you think some people not respond because they embarrassed about what they did?
Yeah, that's part of it for sure because they know we gonna fact check. Like you can't just tell me.
Her kindergartner had graduation today. She gonna call you
Reggie,
tomorrow.
My closing ratio pretty good, so no, I get them done. I don't know how, but I cannot tell you really the last purchase deal that I have not closed because of a buyer. I close
because you don't give up on them.
I don't.
Right.
and here's the other thing. You guys, Reggie always talks about how passionate I am, right? Because I understand how important home ownership is and owning the land. So I am okay with sometimes wanting it more than them because I understand what I'm doing.
Right.
Someone had to have a conversation with me this week because I wanted to quit because
Yeah.
the business is very, very stressful and it takes a toll on you.
Yeah.
And she says, Erica, no. She says, you don't have a regular job. We don't have a regular job. Our job impacts lives.
Right.
So you have to pull it from somewhere.
Yeah.
And you got to come out of this and because you're helping people own houses.
Correct.
And so I'm just like,
So I want to change.
Okay.
I want to change.
shift
A little bit.
I want to have a hard truth about a seller.
Okay. We gonna ask you, Reggie, and then Shaka next.
All right.
No, you do.
So, back to the seller. So we talk about like repairs and a house being presentable, and I think a lot of times. So my hard truth is this not gonna sell for that, right? So we have to set the expectation up front because I don't think a lot of sellers understand when we list your house, we start spending money, and we're invested in something that you're selling, and you're getting the biggest benefit from it. So, one example I have is I had a client. Their roof was old. Before they put it on the market, they had a new roof put on. Now, in theory and some market value, depending on the buyer, that may increase the value, but does it really? Because what do buyers expect on a $400,000 home? A decent roof.
Yeah, at least
It
one
don't
that's not
have to be new, but a decent roof, right?
Less than 10 years old.
Right.
Let's see if they come
So
back.
just because you just spent, $25,000 on this roof, don't mean you're gonna get $25,000 extra for the home.
Sure.
Or at least 5 years of life. I'm sorry.
Right. So that's a hard truth we have to have with sellers. Okay. But if you didn't put the $25,000 into the roof, guess how much your home would sell for? Because it needs a roof.
Right.
Now it can't qualify. You can't pass any inspections. Now you need it. So the mindset that sellers have is, like you said with your lady, I just put all this money into it. I need to recoup that. No, that's just an investment along the process. So the scenario I gave that particular seller was like watching, what's that, My 600-Pound Life? And those people, they go out and lose 150, 200 pounds, but the world still see them as fat, right? But it's the people that was along with them in the journey that's saying, we're proud of you.
Right.
I'm glad you did it because somebody else was along the process. But the general market, the buyers only see the end result.
Right. They don't care about all that.
They don't care if the roof, some may care if the roof is 1 year old, but you mean to tell me if you at 425 with a brand new roof or a house that got a roof that's only 5 years old and they want 400,000, guess which house the buyer's picking? They're not gonna pay 25,000 for a 4-year difference on a roof.
Right.
Look,
Most buyers
I
not.
tell people, okay, so in that situation, well, what are your comps? And then what did their roofs look like?
Right.
They be lying.
Exactly.
Right. They lie
there too,
So
still.
most sellers don't see that.
They'll see that. They'll be like, man, you show them a house that's fully remodeled. They'll be like, yeah, my shit looks more like that one.
Right. Now
Right.
I'm gonna give you one more scenario. I had a lady, I went to list her house and she had some updates, kitchen updates and all of this, but her garage was sinking. She bought this house 2 years previous. Her garage was sinking because the foundation had caved in. So she's showing me around this house and she started talking about her blinds. She spent like $7,000 on her blinds. And I had to pause and I'm like, how come you didn't just fix the garage with that money? And it kind of threw her back because I guess I came across a certain way she wasn't expecting. But what I really wanted to say, I didn't say it, but I was thinking, but it came across in my tone of voice. Like, that was just a dumb decision. Like, why would you spend $7,000 in blinds and your garage foundation is sinking? And now you can't sell the house until you fix this. Now she can't even afford to get it fixed because she's in financial hardship. I'm like, all the money is in your blinds and your kitchen that wasn't finished. You spent all the money on the wrong stuff. So that's a hard truth. When we tell
or being
people,
condescending, them people accuse you of being condescending.
She have equity?
well, No, she didn't have no
I
equity.
mean, she
She
don't have
had
equity
only
right now?
bought it 2 years
Oh, so she bought it
prior. So
already. And
what
she
I'm
had a bad
saying
inspection.
is, from on the seller side, sometimes we got to tell people, look, you just made a bad investment or you just spent the money wrong. And you should have consulted with us prior to then. And there's a chance you may just break even or you have to bring money to the table in order to sell this house. And then those people show up as a for sale by owner. And then they get your buyer and then the whole deal start going haywire and everybody's frustrated.
That's
Because
the
nobody
worst
told
case
them the
scenario.
truth up front.
I've got a question. So what do you do when sellers have an idea of what their house is worth and we get the appraisal back and because I've got agents that just do whatever these sellers tell them to do. So we get the appraisal back and the comps are there and the seller is just irate and I'm looking at the pictures.
Right.
And I'm comparing it to your house. And I'm saying, look at this house. Does your house look like this house? Is your updates comparable?
Right.
Right. And it's so when they can't see, like they're so blind, what do you say to them? Because I don't like talking to listing agents and things like that. So it's like, what do we do when these guys are just totally blind? Well, my house is updated. I said that house is superior.
Well,
It's superior.
So
in rehab, like your house is outdated.
this is exactly what I tell the seller. I said, you got a couple options. One, we can kill the deal and take our chances. If it's FHA, you stuck with it, right? Unless you're going to go back on the market conventional only. But even then, you run a risk of the same appraisal value coming in close. So then it becomes a matter of risk, right? So then also, if it's an appraisal, now we've seen some bad appraisals. I'm talking $20,000 off on a $120,000 home, and all the comps support my value, not the appraisers. And we've had some changes happen, but in most cases where the appraisal came in $10,000, $15,000 lower, I think a lot of agents actually probably knew that. They just wanted the listing. Because our comps, usually when you run comps, you may be off 5 or 6,000 or a small percentage of what the appraisal come in. It happens every now and
it
then,
does.
but you're not that far off, right?
Because we're killing the deal.
We're using the same comps the appraisers are using. Unless you get an appraiser that just don't understand the area, like they don't know the difference in the market value for a home that's on Auto Drive versus the surrounding neighborhood. But usually we're just telling the seller, look, you're going to risk this. You kill this deal, you may end up right back here with a new buyer because another appraiser may come out and see similar data and have a similar amount. So then we start talking numbers. Okay, this appraisal came back $15,000 short, but you got a full price offer. Who's to say the next buyer is even going to offer you full price? And the appraisal still come back at this. Or the next buyer comes and offer you full price, but then wants concessions on top of the appraisal coming back this low. So we're taking a huge risk. So it really depends on how big of a gap we're talking.
So many variables to answer that question.
So many variables.
Yeah. But I just have an honest, hard conversation with them and say, we can kill the deal and take our chances. You're rolling the dice, or we can just move forward. Or we can try to negotiate something with the buyer if they're willing to come up with a little bit of extra money or decrease the concessions if that's part of it.
So what I wanted to shift to, so yes, on the contractor end, you have some, so I don't know how you feel about mentioning it, but you had some people try to use some of your people and ended up having some issues because, so just like what Eli was saying, people don't understand like what goes on behind the scenes. And what we may be shielding the person from in our individualized field. You as mortgage loan officers, us as realtors, Shaq as a general contractor. You want to talk about it?
No. I'll bring them on the show. They can talk about it.
What?
So you saying somebody went around you and tried to use some of your workers to do jobs on the side?
Somebody tried to go use one of my
and it didn't turn out as well?
Yeah.
But they thought the tile guy, because he was in there, they was like, oh, he can do windows too.
Nah.
Fix the whole house.
It was what he do. But the only thing I say about that is people don't understand what the general contractor does. All the mistakes that we cover.
Right.
You know what I mean? They just see the final product and they say, "Oh, that was good." They don't realize if I had somebody else come in there and finish it, or what I had to do to get that sub to get the job done.
Right.
It's too many. It's a lot of different. So everybody think, "Oh, I could just go hire on myself." You know what I mean? But I say the telltale is if you go hire somebody. And so if I'm a GC and one of my subs come around and you can hire my sub, that should tell you everything you need to know right there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you in for a ride, most likely.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I guess you don't want to
That's right.
discuss today what goes into the work of a general
I
contractor.
mean, I don't want to talk about that. That's a specific circumstance, and I want to bring them on. So because I'm going to bring them on the show.
The client or the sub?
The client.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's.
I mean, so this is in all honesty, so I don't think that it was done with ill intent.
Right.
It was stupid. I think it was stupid, and yeah, he was trying to save money. You know what I mean? Like, and I didn't take it personally. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's just like
That's
but,
what you get.
yeah.
Yeah.
No hard truth from Shocker today.
That's the hard truth. And I still work with them.
Do sometimes do you feel like, and this for everybody, do you feel like you run a risk of just losing a client just by telling them the truth?
Never care about it. I feel like them the clients I don't want to work with them anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying anything bad, but a lot of times, like even in those 203Ks, you know what I mean? I ain't gonna lie, I don't like 203Ks.
There's so many
you know what I
hoops you
mean?
gotta jump
yeah,
through.
because everybody wants so much done.
Right.
And you got a limited amount of money that you're working with. You know what I mean? And you want your kitchen and your bathroom and your plumbing and the new furnace and you know what I mean, the roof and all these different things. You don't have enough money for that. You know what I mean?
Well, I depend on the agent. So I think earlier you asked the question. No, you asked the question about you only have $2,000 and you want to buy a $200,000 house. In reality, you probably need more like 16,000.
Mm-hmm.
And so the truth is, we have to. We run into this all the time. Well, I want to pay $1,200. Well, how much house have you been looking at on Zillow?
Right.
How long? What do you? Oh, 300. I'm like, yep. That payment's going to be about $2,500 or more. And so, what payment will you like? Oh, that's about $150,000 house. Hey, Reggie. Hey, Janita. Hey, Shaka. Listen, they can only qualify for $200,000, right? They only want a payment of $1,200-$1,300. Can you? Again, we gotta lean on you guys because it used to be just us, but lately, I'm so glad that agents are more involved. I can at least lean on you guys for support, and that seems to bring the reality down.
Right.
And then you guys can show them houses in the price range, and they either can decide
That's when they say, "Oh,
to
no."
stick to the 150, or we're gonna go to the 180 and pay the 1,600, or we're gonna come up with some more money. So,
or they decide not to buy.
Yeah, well,
that happens more often now too.
It now more than anything.
They want to sit on the sideline, and my favorite line is, "Oh, I'm gonna wait till the rates drop." Okay, when you wait, it's gonna be more competitive. People don't understand that when these rates drop, that's when the floodgates is opening and everybody's back in the market to buy again. So we gonna have, I feel like the pre-COVID, like the aftermath of COVID, right? When the market was just insane, right? Multiple offers.
Two things to say about that, if I can remember them. All right, so the rate. All right, yeah. So to me, you get the house at a lower cost because things are trending up still.
Right.
If the rates come down, you can refinance.
Correct.
I had a conversation yesterday with a person where I talked to them about rates coming down. Have somebody do the math for your principal and your interest in between what you feel like is a good rate and whatever the rate is now. You'll probably find out it's probably like a $30 ish.
If rates stay down too long, then the property values will start going back up because everybody, like you said, creating competition.
So for the people that's coming in saying we're going to wait till the rates go down, well, where's the value of the property? How much cash are you gonna actually have to pay for that? Or, you know, what's the cost of the house gonna be while you're saving $25 to $30 to $40?
You know what? I had a lady. This was funny. I had a lady. We had her under contract for 85,000 on her house. I gave her comps. We listed it at 90, and she was just like, "Nah, I think my house worth more." She actually backed out of the deal just before the inspection because she was determined to get 90,000 for her house. We was under contract for 85,000. When she did that, I withdrew the listing. I said, "This not gonna work out." That's fine because it wasn't that. I was just upset that she actually signed a contract, strung the buyers along, and then backed out of the deal. So about 2 months later, I seen it relisted for 99,000. This was a 2-bedroom.
Wow.
It sat on the market for 3 months, and then eventually sold for 90,000. So she was like, "Yeah," you know. She called me back. She was like, "Did you see my house sale?" Like trying to throw it in my
Right.
face.
Saying so over the 90.
So this where I had to get, you know, I get a little anal too. So she was like, yeah, it sold for 90,000. And I wish you would have just stuck with me because it would have sold for 90,000 a long time ago. I said, no, if it would have sold for 90,000, it would have sold for 90,000 back then. You got to realize it was like a 4 to 6 month gap between then and now.
That's a big
And you
difference.
tried to list it at 99. What did it appraise at? She said it appraised at 90,000. And I said, so 4 to 6 months of paying payments, taxes, and insurance. So you did all of that for a $5,000 difference. You really didn't make any
You
money.
didn't even make the 5,000.
Right. So people just don't get it.
Yeah.
And when you break it down like that to them, it's like, oh, okay. So it's a lot of times where you have to be upfront and honest with people because I told her from the very beginning, this is what the market supports for your home. Now she got the 90,000, but at what cost?
Right.
So a lot of times people just don't understand that.
Yeah.
What it's really costing them.
Well, great
Thank you,
conversation,
guys.
guys.
Thank you.
Where can we find you at, Eli and Erica? We know where to find you. Well, we
We
talked
can
about
find-
Erica.
This is my guest, so he can go first.
Appreciate it. So, guys, thank you again for having me. Appreciate it. I know no one expected me, y'all know. But I'm on Instagram, E as in Edward, G as in George, .home loans. On Facebook, Eli at EG Home Loans, all spelled out, all spaced out. So,
Why wasn't it Giaz and Gonzalez?
no, it is G as in Gonzalez. That's what it is.
I know.
So,
You said Giaz and George.
oh. Yeah, it's late. It's Friday.
Right.
I had a couple drinks.
Okay.
We did.
Yeah.
I'm easy, ericasimpson.net, and then you can call me direct at 313-693-5643.
That sounds like a 1980s infomercial.
And
That's a
y'all-
wrap.
Well.